Why do long-term rentals fail? You've undoubtedly heard, like I have, that buying real estate is the quickest way to get rich. Maybe not the quickest, but most certain way to get rich, to become a millionaire. More millionaires created with real estate than anywhere else. But you know what? Sometimes it goes wrong. So we're going to talk with Casey from Brick by Brick about things that can go wrong with long-term rentals. All right, Casey, ladies first. What's the first one you got?
Oh, thanks, Michael. I love this one because long-term rentals are what I do. And with the advent of social media and everyone's flashy, wants to show how rich they are and amazing and how simple and easy everything is and so fast. And, all of the reasons why things like that fail, investments fail, they get pushed to the side and people only talk about the success and they only talk about the easy parts. So long-term rentals can fail, and they do for a lot of people because they just look at what's glossy and pretty. So one of the reasons, and it kind of ties into that, of why long-term rentals fail is because people have the wrong mindset going into buying long-term rental properties right off the get-go. They think, I'm going to get rich quick. This is going to be fast and easy, and I need cash flow, the cash flow, the cash flow, the cash flow. So they go look in these really terrible markets and neighborhoods where there is very little to no appreciation, thereby very little to no or super slow rental appreciation. Meanwhile, you are having an increase in home insurance costs. You're having the even standard inflation with higher costs of goods and services over time. And when you're not able to increase rent because your value is not appreciating, because your property area is not desirable, slowly your amazing, get my pom-poms, cash flow property that you bought, that cash flows year one, is slowly turning negative, less and less cash flow over time, and could become an alligator property because you get so overwhelmed with the idea of this high cash flowing property that you forget to look at the other things that matter.
Yeah. The first one I got for you is really that concept of an alligator. And I'll kind of coach this one as the debt structure. Again, if you go back to the GFC, why was the GFC so bad? Well, there's lots of reasons, but the biggest reason, in my opinion, was the bad debt structures. There was lots of 2-year adjustable rate mortgages, liar loans, neg am loans. And, the whole story was go ahead and get an ARM because you'll just refi and you'll never get hit with the higher payment. What are we doing today in the commercial space? Same thing, bridge debt, short-term debt. So one of the things that I've learned now nearly 30 years in the business is the debt structure is what blows up most investors. And that includes single-family investors, right? If you got an adjustable rate mortgage because you believed in, marry the house, date the rate, maybe you do what I did. And again, I write about this in my book, One Rental at a Time. You buy a property, it increases in value. You go back and do a cash out refi, but you're not watching the numbers. And suddenly you do a cash out refi and you're guaranteed to lose money every month. I mean, that's a stupid thing to do. So what I would tell people, the first reason long-term rentals fail is the debt structure could eat you alive. I've chosen to call that an alligator, as you said, but that's my first one.
Yeah, I love that. And that is why I only do 30-year fixed debt, because it's guaranteed and I am a safe investor and I really don't like the risk. I have 3 kids, we've been on a single income, my husband's income our whole lives, but minus, my Etsy store that I used to do or my coaching program now. But besides that, it has been a single income. And to have so many properties with all these variable financing terms that are out there, you're just setting yourself up for failure. I mean, I remember I started real estate in 2007 and then we had the crash and I was a real estate agent then. And I worked with investors and other people in Orange County, California, who had investment properties, and people were literally crying, Michael, because they did these creative financing terms. They had these balloon payments, they had stated income, and they were all these things, and they couldn't pay for stuff and they went bankrupt. They lost their portfolios. And I remember that. So I'm not going back there. I learned my lesson through them. All right.
There you go.
So another one that I have is, I love this one. Not understanding the true cost of ownership. So, and there are tons of I've seen lately, I don't know why, a lot of Instagram reels going around like, oh, it's so much cheaper to rent because, the owner has to pay for the new roof. The owner has to pay for the repair. The owner has to pay for the kitchen remodel upgrade and all those things. So there are those sorts of mindsets that, hey, maybe it's cheaper to rent. So, but that being said, you can't forget about the true cost of ownership. It's not just your PITI every month, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. It's not just the vacancy rate. You can't forget how old are your things in your property? How old is your roof? How old is your HVAC? You're going to have main drain line failures. The older the properties are, the longer that you are an owner of real estate, the higher the chances you have of having a main drain line failure. And my friend down the street, it was 2 years ago, I won't forget, they had to take her hardwood floors out of her living room and tear up the tile in her kitchen because that's where the main drain line went to replace. It didn't just start at the exterior of the home and go to the street. It went through her house, and insurance only paid for the repair of the line, did not pay for putting her house back together and the floors. So, that's a horror story, but there are other true costs of ownership that people have to remember. And I think a lot of times investors that are just starting out, especially, only think of the surface level things. You have to build all that into the true cost of ownership to see if a deal really is worth it.
Yeah. The next one I got for you is not maintaining reserves or not running your formula with reserves. The biggest thing that guts new landlords and buy and hold is turnover, right? Turnover is what kills folks. Like you brought up earlier in point number one, bad areas. I've done that. Bad areas in town, they have very high turnover, and it's nearly impossible to have an average occupancy of 1 year or less and make any money, right? People are going to get in, they're going to break stuff, they're going to use stuff, and you're going to have to minimum clean it and do some touch up paint. If you're only, making $200 and you don't put that money away as reserves and you live on it, you're going to get got. And, cash flow is what, can really hurt, an investor. And if you're not maintaining cash flow, have reserves for that, it's going to be a bad day, and you're going to scramble, and you might become a motivated seller. That's what I see a lot of new landlords who get in for a couple of years. Then they just become motivated sellers, and it's really on them. They didn't have the reserves. They didn't build that going in. They may have bought, to your point, in a C-class area where turnover was always high, and they just didn't budget for it. So yeah, watch turnover. That's what gets most new landlords.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, we could talk for a whole other time, a whole other session on tenant retention. Okay. That could be another good one we do. Because I think that's totally key. I get really excited about tenant retention. Okay. So another one that I have is, back to the tenant, skipping tenant screening. So a lot of investors, especially if they're landlording themselves, and I did this was my big mistake that I made in the very beginning, was I kind of skipped the proper tenant screening steps. And that really killed my profitability, because your tenant is your number one team member. It's not your CPA. It's not, your realtor. It's not your property manager even. Your number one team member is the person who takes care of your property 100% of the time, which is the person who lives there, which is your tenant. So if you are not doing proper tenant screening, and you're not getting the best tenant that's going to take care of your property, tell you when things are broken so you can fix them right away, pay rent on time, and communicate and keep a job so they can pay, you are putting yourself at a huge disservice. And the property that you think is going to be profitable is not going to be profitable, because you're going to have tenants that don't belong there if you don't do the proper screening, and they aren't going to pay their rent on time. They aren't going to tell you when things are broken. You think you don't want them to call you. You do want them to call you when things are broken so that you can fix the things before they turn into very expensive repairs. You want tenants that are going to take care of your property, pay rent on time, and keep it nice, because really your tenant is keeping your asset for you. It's holding it. They're taking care of your asset so that in the future it's worth a lot of money. Like, that's what long-term rentals are. You leverage your money with the bank. You buy a property, a little bit of your money. You control a large, expensive property, and you have someone cover the costs for you and a little bit more, right, in cash flow, so that your property stays nice and appreciates in value, so you can cash out when you're old if you want. So tenant screening is key.
Yeah, the next one I'll kind of build on that, and that's being in a rush. Like maybe you're a brand new landlord and you get one and you take the first tenant that shows up with no real criteria. Or worse, what I see a lot of folks do is, Michael, my unit's been vacant for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever. And they get almost desperate and they just take a warm body. That doesn't usually end up well. What I just tell folks is lower the rent. Right? This is a numbers game at the end of the day. If you're not getting rent at 1,500, try 1,450. Right? There were times in my career from 2005 to 2008, I had to do move-in specials, half off rent, $99 deposits. We're not there now, but again, you got to watch the cycle. And the worst thing you could do is, it's hard for new landlords to understand this, but I would rather have a vacant unit than a bad tenant.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't even harp on that enough. No tenant is better than a bad tenant, because tenants are the ones that are tenants are more important than that great deal.
Yeah.
People want to brag about the great deal they got and the money they got off on their property or whatever. To me, I don't care about your great deal. I care about you telling me how your tenants are taking care of your property and they're staying in there forever. And every time you walk in there, it's crystal clean and perfect and nice. Yeah. That is a flex, not your great deal. The fact that you can keep and retain quality tenants, that's the flex, in my opinion. That's the flex.
No, you're absolutely right. What do you got for the last one?
All right. So my last one is property management. So poor property management is a big reason why long-term rentals fail. Because if you aren't managing it yourself, right, you're having somebody else manage it for you. And there are a lot of snake oil, shady AF property management companies out there. There are. I have seen more shady property management companies than, like, you think used car salesmen or all those things. I mean, look, dentists, right? They have a high suicide rate. They do. I can't imagine property management companies. Think about what their role really is. Their role is to listen to tenant complaints all the time and fix stuff and place tenants. Okay. So, I mean, not a great job, right? Think about it. But that being said, they also have to make money. Well, some of them make money a little more shady ways than others. There is a property management company out here in Memphis, which I will not name names, but everybody and their mother know. I don't even know how these people are still in business. They should have been sued 10 times a Sunday or whatever the saying is. These people, let's say toilet leaks, right? Toilet's broken, toilet leaks. They tell the owner, okay, you get the okay for the repair. Property management goes out and sends their crew to fix the repair. They do a bad job on purpose. 2 weeks later, still leaking. Okay, go back out and fix it again. Repeat. So poor property management, not choosing the right company, not looking for those red flags, not being able to look at the lease agreement and see where are these people making their money. Because you may see, they make money all sorts of ways, not just the monthly management. They nickel and dime for all the things. But you may see one line item that looks like it's really high to you. And then the other line item looks really low and think, oh, well, this is, an important thing in property management. It's really low. I'm getting a deal. Little do you know, the high line item is the one that's more likely to be used. Right. And you're getting screwed. So poor property management, hiring the wrong team to take care of your asset, because the tenant is number one, right? Who's taking care of people who live in it. Second most important team member is the person who's otherwise taking care of your property. Tenant retention, tenant customer service. Go check any property management Google reviews and watch the tenant say, I complained this wasn't working, they never fixed it. I complained this wasn't working, they never fixed it. So guess what? When it's time for a renewal, those people are out of there. Those tenants are out. And what do you have now? Vacancy. And besides vacancy, what do you have? You have to pay, you have to fix stuff, you have to replace things. So your property management company and your tenants are the ones that are keeping your costs low. So that's why poor property management, having a poor company, is another reason why long-term rentals fail, because they're losing money due to their poor management.
You're amazing, Casey. Where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Brick by Brick Wealth, as well as Instagram, Brick by Brick Wealth. And you can see what I'm up to if you're interested in coaching or see what else I have to offer on my website. Guess what it is? brickbybrickwealth.com.
Nice work. Take care.
Thanks.